You won't believe this. I was just taking notes for fun, ideas, little plans, nothing serious. Then bam, my CEO takes those notes and starts a whole company with them. And he didn't even tell me. But here's the kicker. The day I found out, I ended up having lunch with someone who changed everything. My name is Nolan Drew, I'm 33, and I'm the kind of guy who skips vacations, builds teams like families, and makes sure no one gets left behind, even if I do. It happened on a Wednesday, the kind of day that starts off boring but ends with a bang you never see coming. I had just wrapped up a $2.5 million deal for our product. I'd pitched it, demoed it, and closed it, solo. My team was celebrating with donuts and coffee when my Slack pinged. Hey Nolan, quick sync with HR in 10 mins. Bring your laptop. Now if you've ever worked in tech, you know what that means. Heart pounding, palms wet, mind racing. I walk in. It's me, our HR manager, who can't look me in the eye, and my CEO, Greg, a tall guy with perfect hair, and the warmth of a marble countertop. He doesn't even let me sit before he starts. Nolan, this is tough, but we're going to have to let you go. Your role has been reevaluated. Reevaluated? I just brought in the biggest contract this company's ever seen. I laugh. It comes out wrong, too loud, too dry. Is this a joke? I just closed the Dentrix account yesterday. Greg nods like he's pretending to be sorry. That's part of it, actually. Dentrix is shifting product direction and we don't see a long-term need for your role anymore. I look at the HR manager. She shifts in her seat. Doesn't say a word. So let me get this straight, I say. I kill myself for months to land this whale, and now that we've got the deal, you're cutting me loose? No answer. Just silence and sad eyes. Is this because I turned down that side project with you? I ask Greg. The one you asked me to keep off record? Still no response. Just a shrug and a well-practiced line. This is a business decision. I stand there stunned. The HR rep slides a cardboard box toward me, like I'm some guest being asked to leave a party early. You've got 15 minutes to gather your things. We'll walk you out after. The room spins. My thoughts start to race, not just about the job, but the notebook. The one I left on my desk last week. The one filled with my ideas, market gaps, user pain points. Stuff I never shared, except maybe once, with Greg. And then it hits me. I know exactly what this is. My head was still spinning, but I kept my face straight. If there's one thing I've learned in corporate America, it's this. Never let them see you bleed. I walked out of that HR room like I didn't just get my soul ripped out. Like the last 7 years of loyalty hadn't just been tossed in the trash next to a cold muffin and a forgotten birthday card. I made my way back to my desk. Everyone had heard. You could feel the silence. A few brave teammates looked up. One, even-mouthed, "Are you okay?" I didn't answer. I opened my drawer, grabbed the essentials, and then I saw it. The black moleskin, crisp, leather-bound, full of everything that made me valuable. Pages of product feedback, UI flow sketches, customer pain points, even mock pricing models. Stuff that hadn't even made it to Jira yet. Stuff I hadn't even told the team. I flipped through it quickly. My stomach dropped. A whole section was missing. I blinked, checked again. No, pages 34 through 51, torn clean out. My jaw clenched. Not in confusion. Not in fear, in fury. Because only 2 people knew I carried that notebook everywhere. My old mentor, Dana, and Greg. I remembered that day a few weeks ago, when Greg had come by during lunch, just to chat, and flipped through my notes. Said I had a real product thinker's brain. I didn't think much of it then. Now, I felt like I'd been gut-punched, but I kept moving, grabbed my things, walked to the elevator. Greg was waiting near the exit, sipping. A green smoothie like nothing happened. No hard feelings, yeah? He said, fake chipper. I didn't reply. Just walked right past him, but in my mind something was burning. This wasn't just about losing a job. This was theft, betrayal, and something told me it wasn't over. As the elevator doors closed behind me, I glanced at my phone. One new text from an unknown number. Hey Nolan, heard what happened. I need to talk. Greg's building something and your name's all over it. Lunch? My pulse quickened. I texted back one word. When? The next day I walked into a quiet little cafe downtown. Wooden tables, overpriced chai lattes, the usual. Startup guy hangout. My eyes scanned the room, and there she was, Dana Fields, my old mentor, former head of product at the company, until she resigned 6 months ago under what everyone called weird circumstances. We hadn't spoken since. She waved me over. No smile, just that sharp, no-nonsense look she always had when something was going down. I sat. Thanks for coming, she said. You texted me like you had a gun to my head, I replied, half joking. I kinda do, she said. Greg is building something and it's yours. I froze. What do you mean? She pulled out a tablet, swiped a few times, and pushed it toward me. A sleek pitch deck was open. Title page, Project Vega, Revolutionizing User Feedback. Into Actionable Product Pipelines. That was my title. I'd scrawled it in Sharpie across the top of my notebook page. The exact phrasing. As I flipped through the slides, I felt like I was watching someone else hold up my brain for applause. Wireframes I drew. User journey pain points I had mapped, even my phrases, my metaphors. Repackaged and polished. This is my stuff, I said quietly. Dana nodded. I know, I recognized it immediately. Greg's using it to raise funding. Big names too. A16Z, Softtech, you name it. My fists clenched under the table. But how do you even have this? She hesitated. Then leaned in. He pitched it to me. 2 weeks ago, said he wanted me back in as co-founder, someone with product cred. He sent me the deck and asked for feedback. I nearly fell off my chair when I saw your work in there. My heart was thudding. Why tell me now? She looked at me, steady and serious. Because I owe you. You were the only one who stood up for me when they pushed me out. And because I know what this could do to you, what it will do if you don't get ahead of it. I sat back, the noise of the cafe drowning out as my thoughts raced. Greg hadn't just fired me. He'd erased me. He planned to launch my ideas under his name and lock me out completely, but now I had something better than revenge. I had proof. Can you get me that? Deck? I asked her. She nodded. Already forwarded it to your email. You might want to move fast. Greg's announcing it at Demo North this Friday. I blinked. That was in 48 hours. And just like that, I wasn't just some guy who got fired anymore. I was about to become the ghost in Greg's machine. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake, laptop glowing, phone buzzing every so often as Dana. And I swapped messages. She sent over the full deck, metadata timestamps, and even a screenshot of Greg bragging about his product vision in a VC group chat. It was all there. The stolen ideas, the fake origin story. The revolutionary concept built straight from my notebook, and he was set to pitch it to the world in 48 hours. But I wasn't going to stop him. Not yet. See, revenge is like coffee. You serve it best when it's slow brewed and scalding. Hot. By morning, I had a plan. I called up Alicia Ramos, an ex-colleague turned founder who now ran a product blog and podcast that every mid-level investor and PM followed religiously. She was the nerd whisperer. If she covered a story, it stuck. She picked up on the second ring. Nolan Drew? Thought you disappeared. Almost. You have 10 minutes? 10 minutes turned into 45. I told her everything. Laid out the stolen work, the missing notebook pages, the screenshots, the betrayal. I didn't ask her to write a hit piece, I just told her the truth and sent the proof. She whistled. If this drops before Demo North, it'll set that stage on fire. That's the plan, I said. When do I publish? Friday. 1 hour. Before Greg takes the stage. We locked it in. She promised to fact-check everything to the letter. No embellishments, no drama. Just cold, hard receipts. Then I made one more call, Dentrix, the 2.5 Macros client I had brought in, the same one Greg claimed had shifted directions. I called their VP of product, Liam. We'd clicked from day one. Nolan? Dude, what the hell happened? We just signed with your team. Yeah, about that. You should probably know the guy. Leading it now is pitching a new product at Demo North. One that's built on the same foundation I showed you during onboarding. Wait, he's launching a new product? With your work? Exactly. There was a long pause. Send me the details. I did. And I knew one thing for sure. Dentrix was not going to like being used as a launch prop. Friday came fast. Greg posted a smug selfie on LinkedIn, backstage at Demo North, latte in hand. Captioned, "Big day, big pitch. Dr. Vega, Innovation Lives here." An hour before his talk, Alicia's piece dropped. Title, Startup CEO to launch product based on ex-employees' private notes, sources confirm. It exploded in minutes. Screenshots, quotes, even a diagram of my notebook pages next to Greg's deck. It was surgical, and I was sitting in the audience at Demo North, third row, wearing a Dentrix polo. I watched Greg walk onto that stage like he owned the world. He had no idea what was about to hit him. The lights dimmed. Greg stepped onto the Demo North stage like he was Steve Jobs reincarnated. Perfectly gelled hair, black button down. Fake humility dialed to 100. The giant screen behind him pulsed with a clean blue slide. Introducing Vega, turning user pain into product power. I nearly choked. That exact phrase, from page 36 of my notebook. The audience leaned in. Investors, founders, journalists, some of the most powerful eyes in tech, all watching this man parade around in my skin. He launched into his pitch with a cocky rhythm. At Vega, we believe feedback is broken. Teams are drowning in noise, not insight. But what if you could filter, tag, and synthesize real user pain automatically? That's what we built. I sat frozen. Every bullet point he hit, word for word from my internal proposal. It was like watching someone else give your TED Talk while you sat gagged in the front row. But then, about 3 minutes in, I noticed phones buzzing. 1, 2, then dozens. Heads turned. Murmurs swirled. People were refreshing their feeds. Alicia's expose had hit hard. My name was trending on Twitter studying Vegagate. Startup theft, NOLAN DREW, and then came the real blow, Dentrix's statement. Right there on LinkedIn. We are pausing all engagement with Vega following serious ethical concerns regarding product ownership and intellectual sourcing. Greg paused mid-slide. You could see it. His face flickered, just for a second. Then, his phone buzzed, again and again and again. He glanced down, went pale. We'll open for questions now, he mumbled. No one raised a hand because everyone was looking at their screens. Behind him, the stage screen glitched. Demo North's media team had pulled the slides. The Vega logo disappeared, replaced with the default conference graphic. Greg stood there, suddenly small in the spotlight. Then Alicia, in the flesh, stood up from the press row and asked loudly, "Can you confirm whether the original ideation of Vega came from your former head of product, NOLAN DREW?" Greg stammered, eyes blinking too fast. Someone from his own board stood up and walked out. Cameras captured every second. And me? I didn't say a word. I just stood, slowly, and walked out. Calm, clean. Because I didn't need to humiliate him. He did it all by himself. The Monday after Demo North felt quiet. Not just on the outside, but in me. After years of late nights, internal wars, and the mind-bending betrayal of watching my own work used against me, I finally breathed. Greg? He'd gone completely silent. His LinkedIn profile was still, but the Vega site, gone, socials wiped. Rumors said investors had backed out en masse. A lawyer friend told me Greg was exploring new ventures, which is startup speak for toxic waste. But this story isn't really about him anymore. It's about me, and what came next. 2 weeks later, I got a DM on Twitter. Brian Caldwell, a partner at an early-stage fund I'd been trying to get in front of for years. Just read everything. You clearly built something real. If you're thinking of starting your own thing, I'd like to talk. That message became a Zoom call. That Zoom call became a seed round. And just like that, I went from fired to funded. But this time, I wasn't building in someone else's shadow. I called the company Echo Forge, because that's what this was. a forge for all the echoes of ideas people tried to ignore or steal. My first hires? 2 ex-teammates who had quietly texted, "We've got your back," when Greg cut me loose, and Dana, who came on as co-founder. Together, we built something lean, clean, and grounded in ethics. Same product idea, better execution. Transparent, resilient. Ours. A few months later, I was invited to speak at a mid-sized tech conference. Nothing flashy, but a solid crowd of operators and product folks. Real builders. At the end of my talk, someone asked during Q&A, "If you could say one thing to the guy who stole your work, what would it be?" The room went quiet. Everyone leaned in. I smiled. "Thanks for the push. You tried to bury me, and all you did was plant me."